back, everybody. This is the thejonnymar, and I am continuing with Pokemon Blue, my complete Pokedex journey. So in my last episode, we took out the Pokemon Tower and got the Pokemon Flute. And you'll notice that I have a bunch of new Pokemon in my active party. Now, these Pokemon are not going to be staying in my active party. They were just Pokemon I traded over from Pokemon Red to fill out my Pokedex. So many of them are actually Red exclusive Pokemon that I cannot get in Blue. So they include the Oddish line as well as the Growlithe line, and then I evolved them as well with their elemental stones. And then I also caught a Machop, which is not exclusive to Red, but I got that in the Dark Cave to the north of Lavender Town. And then the rest of the Pokemon are other exclusive ones to Red, so I have a Mankey, an Akins, as well as a Weedle. So I will be evolving these Pokemon eventually, and because I did trade them over from Red, they will get a boosted amount of experience once I decide to evolve them over. So when I do some grinding late in the game, and actually go for those higher level evolutions, it should be fairly quick to actually acquire them. That's one of the benefits of trading over from another cart like Red in order to complete the Pokedex. Now we're actually going to be gathering some other Pokemon in this particular episode. So the game kind of wants you to go to Saffron City next, which is the city in the middle of the map. And you're supposed to basically go into Sylph Co there and take on Team Rocket, as well as the gym there, which is the Psychic Gym. But I've always skipped Saffron City and headed down the routes, as we're at 46 owned out of 89 seen, to the south, on both the west and east coast down to Fuchsia City. We've transferred back over to my regular party, and now we're going to head down to the southern routes in order to get down to Fuchsia City. So now that we have the Pokemon Flute, we can actually get the Snorlaxes, which are blocking these southern routes, to actually wake up. So again, the game wants you to go to Saffron City and take on the gym there, as well as rescue the Sylph Corp, but we are going to be skipping that for now and coming back to it once we finish up with the events in Fuchsia City. So we're going to head down to the south here on the eastern route, Route 12, and take on the Snorlax there. So we're at the Snorlax, and it is sleeping, basking in the sun here and enjoying itself, but unfortunately we're going to wake it up. We don't want it to get sunburnt. We're going to wake it up by playing the Pokemon Flute, which is something only Pokemon can hear, remember. So you're not hearing anything. And Snorlax will wake up and then attack in a grumpy rage. So there are two Snorlaxes. You can take 2 shots at catching them. They can be caught with just Great Balls, although oftentimes I wait until, again, I get to Fuchsia City to get Ultra Balls. We'll take 1 shot at catching this particular Snorlax. I'll try to get it down to fairly low health. And then we will take 1 chance at catching it. If I don't do it, I'll just kill it off or KO it. And then we'll catch the other one over on the western side of Celadon City. Because this battle, if you try to catch Snorlax and don't succeed, can take a very long time because of its amnesia ability. So if it rests here, which it did do, this time I'm just going to take it out. Because it will essentially just use amnesia over and over and make it very difficult for you to be able to do any real damage to it. Now Rest is an interesting ability. It puts the Pokemon to sleep for 2 turns automatically, but it does recover all of its health as well as getting rid of any ailments. So we got a critical there to knock it out. But you can't do anything while you're asleep. Now that was changed in later games where they gave abilities to Pokemon that were sleeping to be able to still attack in sleeping form, so to speak, if you want to think of it that way. The Snorlax returns to the mountains. I'm not sure what mountains around here it's talking about, but that's good. We managed to defeat it, and that means the path is now clear to head down Route 12 to the south. So we're not going to go super far. We're going to take on this trainer, and then we're going to head into that house just there to the south. And then we are going to do some other Pokemon catching. There's actually a Pokemon I want to add to my permanent party. I figured it's time for us to finally get a Psychic Pokemon. In order to do that and get the one that I actually want, I need to catch a Poliwhirl. catch a Poliwhirl, I need the Super Rod. Now fortunately the Super Rod is available in that house just to our south, as Diglett levels up here. A few more levels, Diglett, and then you'll get Earthquake, and I will let you evolve into Dugtrio. We can also catch a Slowpoke, and then we will trade the Poliwhirl for the Pokemon that I am actually looking for, which is actually a Dual-type Pokemon of Psychic and Ice, both very useful types for the Elite Four and the late game of this particular game. Unplugged! Diglett's evolving. Am I gonna let him? No. Not yet. A few more levels. Yes, water does conduct electricity, although you could argue grass is even better because grass does resist electricity. Alright, so this is the Fishing Guru, the brother of the one we already got the old rod from, which we caught a Magikarp with. We want to say yes, we like fishing to get the Super Rod, which is actually the best fishing rod in the game. This is necessary to catch many of the aquatic Pokemon that are available only in the bodies of water around the world. So the old rod only allows you to catch Magikarp, the good rod allows you to catch a few more Pokemon, and then the Super Rod allows you to catch pretty much all of those that are available. So again, we want it specifically for Poliwhirl, but we will be using it to catch many other Pokemon as well to fill out our Pokedex. So we will be fishing pretty much wherever we go. So now we're going to head back to Celadon City, because that is where we can actually catch a Poliwhirl. Now you can also catch it off of Route 10, but it is much easier to get it in Celadon. Alright, so we healed, and now we're going to head down to the body of water, so to speak, here in Celadon, which is this little pond here. Now eventually we are going to want to surf across the pond and talk to the old man on the other side. But for now, we're just going to use our Super Rod. And since we're going to try this probably over and over before we get a bite, it doesn't seem to happen very often in this particular location, I am going to move the Super Rod up in my inventory, making it easier to get to. Hey, we got a bite. Are we going to get lucky and get a Poliwhirl? Or will it be a Slowpoke? Hey, we got lucky. It's a Poliwhirl. Now we just need to catch it. Level 23 is its level. I don't think it can be any other level besides that, at least in this location. So that means the traded Pokemon that we are going to trade this for is actually going to be at level 23 as well. But fortunately, that Pokemon will have boosted experience so that when we start to build it up by taking on trainers on the western route to the left of Celadon, it'll gain levels pretty quickly. But we won't be worrying about that in this particular episode. That'll be next time. We still have quite a bit to do in this episode before we can get to a lot more trainer battles down Route 17 and 18 on the west side, down to Fuchsia. Hey, we got Poliwhirl. Awesome. We're down Route 12 through 15 on the eastern route down to Fuchsia. Poliwhirl is a tadpole. We have not caught Poliwag yet. We will get it eventually. But the spiral on its chest is actually the opposite direction, I believe, from Poliwag. And we do have a name suggestion for the Poliwag family. And that name suggestion is Froggy. So we'll be naming this Froggy, and we will be trading it, but then I'll catch another one, which I will then evolve into a Poliwrath, and then we will catch a Poliwag, which I will also name Froggy. So there will actually be 3 particular Pokemon I catch for this particular family line that is going to get named Froggy. So it's an interesting Pokemon. It's not the greatest. It actually has fairly low special attack. It's more of a physical attacker, and that is essentially because of its evolution of Poliwrath, which is actually dual-typed as a water and fighting type. So we're back here in Cerulean City, and that is because we want to come up here to this old man to trade our Poliwhirl for a Jynx. So that is going to be our Psychic-type Pokemon that we're going to take through the rest of the game. Jynx is a fairly good Pokemon. I wouldn't say it's as good as Kadabra or Alakazam, It has slightly lower speed and special attack than that particular evolution line, but I do like that it has the dual typing of Ice and also Psychic. So it allows me to still have Ice type to take on some of the bosses later on in the Elite Four, where Ice type is basically essential for any sort of success. And you probably know the trainer I'm talking about that we need that Ice Pokemon for. But there's Jynx. And of course the distinctive cry of the Jynx Pokemon. The original sprite for Jynx had a black face, but they did change it to purple in later games. Alright, so we traded it. And the Poliwhirl went and evolved. Interesting. From the trade? Because as far as I know, you have to use a stone on a Poliwhirl in order to get it to evolve. But I guess you were lucky. But here we have Lola, our Jynx. As you can see, good special, good speed, and that's about it. And some good abilities as well, Lovely Kiss specifically, which is a fairly high accuracy sleep ability. Now here's the other Pokemon we can catch in Celadon or on Route 10, and that is a Slowpoke. So we caught it. So good job. We will add Slowpoke to my particular Pokedex. Slowpoke is a dual typing as well of Water and Psychic, although I think it becomes Psychic only in later games in the series. But that's all we can get here in this pond. So now we have our 2 Pokemon, and now we're going to fly back to Saffron City because we actually want to pick up a TM. Because unfortunately, although Jynx is a Psychic type, it does not really learn any Psychic abilities. So in order to teach it a Psychic ability, we actually need to use a TM. And the best Psychic ability is here in Saffron City, at Mr. Psychic's house. We're going to head into the house here, and we're going to talk to Mr. Psychic, and he will give us TM 29, I believe, which is Psychic. So we'll be giving that to Jynx, and then we're also going to be giving it TM 13, which is Ice Beam. And those will essentially be its last 2 moves that it needs for the rest of the game. So we'll have Lovely Kiss, Ice Beam, Psychic, and I'm not sure what I'll have for its 4th ability. We'll see. It actually cannot learn Dream Eater, I believe, which is kind of annoying. It would be nice if it could learn Dream Eater to work with its Lovely Kiss ability. But ah well, such is life. So we will teach it Psychic over Double Slap. We'll keep Pound, just in case, as a physical attack. And now we're back in Celadon. I have taught Jynx Ice Beam as well. And the last thing we want to do in this particular episode is actually try to catch the other Snorlax. So this is my Jynx that will be leveling up and basically is now going to be a fixture in my party for the rest of the game. So welcome, Lola. And now we're actually going to try to catch a Snorlax. So Snorlax is essentially a legendary in Generation 1. I know it's much more common in later games in the series, especially I recently played Pokemon Sword and was very surprised to just see Snorlax walking around on the maps in the wild areas, given that my experience with Pokemon is very much in these early generations. But we are going to take it on here and try to catch it. And my strategy for catching it is essentially to lower its accuracy so it can't attack us, and then lower its defense, and then slowly whittle it down with physical attacks, which it cannot boost since it does not have a defense boosting ability, whereas it does have Amnesia, which does boost its special attack and special defense essentially. Ow. Headbutt is pretty dangerous, which is why we want to use Sand Attack on it. So we'll use that until we lower its accuracy as much as possible. And then once we get that down, we'll start using Tail Whip. And then we will lower it to a point where we can actually catch it. Now we might try to just use my Jolteon here and maybe use a couple of Thunderbolts. But if that doesn't seem to be working, then we will switch over and try the other particular strategy I have. So we have lowered its accuracy as much as possible. Let's see how much a Thunderbolt does. Now the thing about physical and special attacks is even if they raise their defense associated with that particular attack move, if you get a critical, it'll actually bypass those increased modifiers. So if we critically hit him with our Thunderbolt attack, it will actually do a lot of damage to him. Now, we did get him paralyzed, but he's probably going to use Rest soon. Oh, well, if he gets fully paralyzed, that won't matter. Okay, it used Headbutt. Let's give it a shot here. Let's chuck a Great Ball. Come on. Let's catch it. Dang it. And it used Rest. So, I mean, I could keep doing this, but it takes about 3 to 4 Thunderbolts to get it down to catchable range. You can just chuck a Great Ball at it if you want, even at full health, and it will have a small chance of catching it. Some people just wait for Snorlax to go to sleep, and then just chuck Great Balls in the hopes of catching it. But I like to get it as low as possible to increase the odds as much as possible. So now we're going to use Tail Whip, and then we'll use some physical attacks to get it down to pretty low health. And this is essentially the strategy I'm going to use with a lot of the legendary quote-unquote, and also the legendaries themselves in this game. So when I go after specifically the bird legendaries, we're going to try to use similar strategies on them, because they are pretty hard to catch. Obviously we'll be using Ultra Balls to try to catch them. And then of course we'll be saving our Master Ball for the one particular Pokemon that is actually worth using on at the end of the Unknown Dungeon. So now that we've lowered his defense, the fact that he's resting is not a huge deal, because our physical attack is going to do a pretty good amount. So it only takes a couple of quick attacks here to get him down to catch range. And if this starts getting... Well, that was interesting. My critical hit did very little damage. I wonder if the critical hit actually doesn't apply debuffs as well. It takes it out of the regular defense stat. Can we catch him? Oh! Got him! Snorlax has been caught, and will be added to the party. Snorlax is actually a fairly decent Pokemon, especially if you want a normal type. It's pretty powerful, physically, has pretty good defense and special. The one weakness, of course, as you might expect, is its speed is very low. And if you would like to name the Snorlax, let me know in the comments below. But that is it for this particular episode. In my next episode, we will head down the routes to Fuchsia City. I haven't decided if I'm going to do the western side or the eastern side yet. I'll make my mind up in between episodes. I'll probably trade some more Pokemon over, and then we will continue onward. Thanks for watching. I'll see y'all next time. So long! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please press like and leave a comment below. Please also subscribe to my channel and press the notification bell. See you next time.